And we're live.
And welcome back to the District of Sechelt Committee of the Whole meeting for Wednesday, April 21st. It is now 3:30. And I think, as I was saying, we will move on to item 5.1, the general budget review. Can I have a motion to receive the reports? And second, and all in favor? And I will turn it over to Director Douglas.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm just going to share my screen. And so I provided a bit of information in the agenda package. I don't intend to go over it in great detail. It's really there for summary purposes at this point. So if we go to page 2 of the agenda, page 4 of the agenda, we'll start there. And this is just a snapshot of the 2021 budget with all the directions of council or committee of the whole from the last meeting last week. And this just shows in this slide the operating side of it. And so, so you can see that it does balance. And so from our operating perspective, we're not in any kind of a deficit or whatever. So it balances to 0, so we're good here. The second slide, which I've highlighted, the red boxes are the items that were added from the first slide to the second slide, which is all the capital items that we discussed at the last meeting and their funding sources. And once again, you can see at the bottom that there's 0 surplus, 0 deficit. So the budget balances from that perspective. This is just now a kind of combined list of everything that's in the general operating budget with regards to the one-time or ongoing costs. And so these are all items that we have now included. Capital list that's provided in the agenda. Once again, I think in the end we removed 2 items from all these pages. Those items have been moved out. And their funding sources have been moved out from 2021. So this is really a reconciliation of our discussion. And then where we kind of left off last time was we were just starting to talk about taxation. And, so, you know, there's a few keys here that, you know, as we go through from here to the end, that are very important. Number one, you can see in the non-market or in the non-market, so this is new construction area, that the residential increase was, you know, quite significant, 29 million. You can also see that in the business other, there is an increase there of 11 million in assessment values. And you also can see there that there are some reductions to other classes. Now, the reasons for those reductions could be properties being moved to other, you know, other property classes. There's a host of reasons why that can happen. But essentially, some of the assessment was taken out of managed forest, recreation nonprofit, and farm. So why that's important is it will show up in the tax that we collect from each class. So when a property, let's say, moves from and I can't tell you if this happened, but from managed forest land over to residential, if there was a new classification or a property changed its classification, then that class obviously will pay less taxes now. But wherever that property ends up, that class would pick up that difference. The other significant part of the report is now in the new red box. And this is changes to the assessed values due to market conditions. And you can see here that residential assessments due to market went up by 3.72%. And if you look below that, you can see that most business classes went down. So light industry went down 0.16% due to market conditions. And business other went down 0.2 or 2.3%, and so on and so forth. Managed forest went down 8.44%. So once again, this creates when that happens, that more complicates the multiple than it does the tax value. Because in 2 years from now or a year from now, that could be completely reversed, where residential goes down and business goes up. I've seen that as well. So what that can affect is the class multiple, and you'll see it has had an effect here. So in this year's taxing. So it's not as if they're paying more tax, but the class multiple will change, meaning more tax than another class. You know, so if we're charging each class a certain percentage increase, they're all getting it, but because of these maneuvers, the multiple will change. So this is just a quick summary of the dollar values that came in. So if we start with the 2020 budget column, that's what we taxed in 2020. The second column, which is 2021 new construction, is the additions and subtractions of taxation to each class due to new construction numbers that we've received. And then the third column out is the 2021 base. So that's basically the 2020 plus the new construction for 2021. And then we apply this year's taxation into the 2021, the fourth column, or the 2021 budget request. And then we give you what the increase was by class in each one of those classes. So you can see that utilities didn't go up the percentage that other classes went up. And that's because we're charging them the maximum that we can charge them already. So the only way we would get more money is if their assessment changed a little bit, which it did a tiny bit. And so you can see there's a small amount of an increase there. But the rest were charged a percentage that was very similar to what we're passing in our budget. So this is where the multiple comes into play. The third column out shows what last year's class multiples were. And the second column out, 2021 class multiples, show what they would be charging each class the appropriate increase to the budget. So I think when we left last week, we said that the increase was going to be 3% for capital and 6.98 for 6.92 for the other classes. In us reviewing the budget, we had a couple other adjustments to it. And so the overall increase is 9.7%, not the 9.92. And so in applying that increase, This is just a quick look at municipal taxation, and this is just the district of Sechelt fees on this slide. And you'll say, oh, well, this is an apartment, and this property doesn't pay garbage to us. They would have the garbage by contract to this strata. And you'll see that the property increase here was 0.5%. So because residential went up 3.78%, and this property only went up 0.5%, they won't see the whole tax hit on this property. They'll only see a portion of it. And so you'll see that the overall increase to municipal taxation and fees and charges is a total of 7.8%. So these are live properties we went to and pulled the data from. And so these are things that happen in our community. Now looking at the bigger picture.
Sorry, Dave, before you go further,
Yes.
you go back to that last one.
Yeah.
Okay, so if we're looking at 7.8%, we're actually looking for a $85 increase though.
Yes.
Okay. I think that's important for people to know. Like the percentage is high, but I mean, this came out in the RCMP stats when we were talking on Thursday last week at the regional district. If the number is small to start with and you do an increase, the increase can look percentage wise really large. Here we're looking at $85 a year. Okay, that's it.
And as you can tell from our discussion on sewer users, we knew we were at the 17% mark, and so that's also included. And once again, that's $52 for the annual for that. So going to the bigger picture, we received almost all of the requisitions. The only two we don't have is the school tax and the Sechelt Fire District, what they're requisitioning yet. So I just based those off last year's rates at this point, just so we had numbers in every slot. So once again, the municipal side highlighted here. So overall, this property would see a $132 increase, or a 6.3%, when factoring in all levels or other governments that have requisitioned us to collect tax for them. So you can see there's been increases to basically every government that pulls from taxation. Parcel taxes went up a little bit. Recreation tax went up a little bit. Our sewer parcel tax stayed the same, and sewer user fees went up. So once again, the garbage isn't here because this one's an apartment. So the second property we have, once again, we got to keep our eye on the house values here, because if they don't go up that 3.78%, then you're going to see a different percentage at the bottom. And if it goes up greater than that, you're going to see a greater percentage at the bottom. So this is a house valued at 2021 at $638,000. It experienced a 2.3% assessment increase. My expectation is they won't quite see the full hit here on the taxes, which is correct. They're seeing an increase of 8.5%, which is about $128 increase for taxation. Garbage fees stays the same. The sewer parcel tax is staying the same, and the user fees are going up by that 17%. So overall, 8.5% on this property. That's on this property is $212.
$12.
Math on the go. And then just looking at the whole picture here, on the same property, you can see the school taxes. Once again, they're not live. They're just based off last year's. Fire district the same. But overall, when you add all taxes in here, you're looking at an 8% increase, which is $376 on the spot. House number 3 is a little bit higher valued house. This one went up greater than the average in the community. So the assessed value on this property went up 5.8%. So, I would take a guess that the overall taxes on this property would be higher than the 9.7%, which it is, it's 11. And the overall increase here is $357 for municipal side fees and charges and tax. And then when we look at the bigger picture with all the governments in there, once again, the SCRD and recreation, little increases here and there. Water increase. Garbage stays the same here as well. Parcel tax for sewer stay the same. So overall, a 9.8% increase, which is I would have expected to be a little higher, just because of the change in assessment value. And this one shows a $627 increase from 2020 to 2021. So we head off to a commercial property. I'm going to show 2 commercial properties. So commercial properties in the District C shell went down in value last year. And you can see that this property went up 0.9%. So, intuitively, I would say, yes, they're going to pay a little bit more taxes than the 9.7, which they do, 13. And so their municipal tax bill going from 3,657 to 4,134. Just under $470 increase. Sewer parcel tax stays the same, and the sewer user fees here have gone up by that 17%. So overall, for municipal purposes, 13% increase, which is a $644 increase for municipal side. Then we're going to the bigger picture here. Overall increase in 8.57%, increase of $907 overall.
Just a quick question, Dave, on the commercial. Does the 2020 number, the school taxes there, the province did do a relaxation on the school taxes last year. Is that number reflective of that relaxation, or is that the full value?
Great question. So what I did is I went back to 2019 on this one. But on the next slide, which I've just put up, now that one is reflective of what happened last year.
Okay. And we don't know if they're going to do the same thing again this year or not.
I have not heard that they are going to do the same thing. I have not yet. I would say at this point, I don't think they're thinking that.
Okay.
So
Thank you.
this slide shows quite a bit bigger increase. But the first slide was to show you, really a reflection of what it really would look like without that adjustment from last year. And then the second slide, which just shows that, yeah, no, they only paid $752 last year. If they go back to the normal, they're going to pay, around $2,600 this year. And so that's reflected here. So I felt it was important to show both sides of it, just so you know that this property isn't paying like it is paying over $3,000 or around $3,000 more, but really last year, if it were a normal year, no, the increase wouldn't be $3,000. And then the last commercial property here, it did go down in value. It went down in value fairly close to the to what the whole property class went down. So I would expect them to see, be very close to that 9.7 number, which they are. They're 9.8. Increase in municipal taxes, $440. And then increase from 67.3 to 73 for municipal side. Then looking at the bigger picture with all the governments included. A $763 increase overall, 5.10%. Once again, this is with the school tax elevated, showing an elevated school tax last year. And then the next slide will show what they actually paid last year. So that difference is quite a bit different. This is showing, once again, $3,500 difference on that versus, what they would have paid if the school taxes were the same. So this is a quick snapshot of the property class, the tax rates for 2021 over 2020. As I commented that utilities are paying the maximum, $40 per. And so residential, all the property classes went up a little bit in their tax rates. I really tried to be cognizant of the class multiples. I think they are important, but when you have two classes going two different ways, it's pretty tough to keep them identical. It's pretty much impossible. And then really a summary at the end. So the operating increase of 6.7% for operations and 3% for capital. We did use reserves and surplus for some operations and projects capital. Capital projects included in the budget, $12,971. And of course, we have included any motions of council with regards to the COVID-19 grant. Plus, there's a couple other ones in here that are being approved through the budget process. And with that, I ask if council has any questions.
Any questions from council? Mayor Seegers.
There was a conversation about septage receiving. And there were conversations going on with the haulers in the community. Have those conversations finished?
Not as yet. No.
Thank you.
Councillor McLean.
Yeah, I believe at the last week's committee or council, maybe more,
Committee level.
at some point, we had a council meeting and we talked about grants and aid, and we moved a motion to do an additional round of COVID grants. I'm just wondering if that's been incorporated yet. I don't think I see it.
That has not been incorporated. I don't have direction of council. So we can do a budget amendment for that once we put that in front of council.
Okay, thanks.
It shouldn't, the intention from staff isn't to use taxation to fund it. So it would be a non-taxing item unless council wanted to use taxation.
Anything else, Councillor McLean?
Nope,
No?
that's good.
Okay. Councillor Lamb?
Yeah, I was just wondering, the affordable housing, what kind of monies do we have in that fund now? I mean, you can get it for us for later or something like that, but anyways, I just, last year I threw in, maybe we should be looking at putting $10 per 500,000 into a kitty to boost that up. Affordable housing is obviously something very much on everybody's mind right now, maybe not affordable, but all types of different housing. So just a thought. That's it. Thank you.
Any other questions? Mayor Seegers?
Yeah, just to follow up, if we did something like that, what would we actually raise in a year? Is there any way to figure that out?
I think last year he said it was about $80,000, $86,000, something like that.
Yeah, I don't remember the calculation I did last year, but that number seems to be about right.
So would you like to see something like that come forward, Councillor Lamb, with some details?
Yeah, I think I would. I mean, I look at this affordable housing and there's two things we need. I mean, we've got this emergency task force moving forward right now, and the deal is there's two things they're going to need. They're going to need money and they're going to need land, and they have nothing right now. I mean, I think the last time Director Douglas gave us anything, it was $140,000, and that hardly pays the legal bills for anything anymore. So, and it's the other side of it. It's not the development community that is asking for this. It's everybody that's asking for it. And it's the whole community that needs this support. So, if you're going to leave it on the hands of the shoulders of the developers, you're going to end up with, another 100,000 by next year, and it won't do anything for you. So just my thoughts.
So, Councillor Lamb, do you want to make a request to staff to bring back specific information, or what?
Well, if they came in and let us know what, how much money is in that kitty right now, and what a $10 per every $500,000 value of housing and industrial, any value of any property in the district. And then it's so hard that you can't budget what you're gonna get in for, from the developers over the year, I'd like to see the development costs cut back, take that rate out of the developer's pot, but that probably won't happen.
Okay, I think with Director Douglas's last report are all the balances of the reserves. I'm pretty sure the affordable housing reserve was in that document. I seem to remember somewhere between maybe 160-ish. Director Douglas?
I'm gonna go find that right now.
Councillor Toth.
Thank you, Chair. I'm just wondering if is something we've got like 20 some odd days before we need to have our budget bylaw passed for 2021. I'm just wondering if this is something that staff could even turn around and we could incorporate within that time frame, or at this point, are we looking at something for 2022?
I'll let Director Douglas speak to that. He looks like he's looking hard at the monitor.
Yeah, we would have to turn this around and be passing bylaws almost at the same meeting. So if the council wanted to direct staff of that, if it was a $500,000 home, you're obviously charging $25 more for that. If it were a commercial property of the similar value, your multiple is 2.35, so you'd be up in the $50 to $60 range for a commercial property.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think, sorry, Director Douglas, I think what Councillor Lamb's talking about is a flat amount, like $10 per 500,000.
But it would come across as a variable tax. So we would base the tax rate on $5 per 100,000 value. I have to look at the legal requirements around a flat tax for that purpose.
Mm-hmm.
So it wouldn't, if you're saying $5 per 100,000 of assessment, it would be pretty tough to do it without the variable tax. Because what would you do with a property that's $1 million? We don't lay a parcel tax out that way that just elevates by value.
Okay. So it'd have to be a variable.
It would have to be variable tax.
Okay, and if he's looking at $10 per 500,000, right? That would be $2 per 100,000.
Sorry, he's looking at $5 per 500,000.
No, $10 per 500,000.
Okay, so it'd be $2 per
100,000.
100,000. So, all right. So then 500. Okay, I'd have to do the revenue calculation to know what that would look like. But
Councillor McLean has his hand up.
Yeah, so I'm in favor of this in principle, but we're at a kind of a late minute here, and I feel like this discussion is going around in circles. It'd be much more appropriate to get a staff report. So maybe an alternative way forward is we can look at our budget after it's been passed, do an amendment, reduce costs by, I don't know, $80,000, $60,000 somewhere, and allocate that to the reserve. So that way it doesn't increase the tax rate. We can get the budget passed and we can still do this. Because otherwise, yeah, unless there's a real motion on the table.
There isn't at this time. As chair, I'm wondering, does anybody want to make a motion with regards to a request for staff to bring back a report And if so, what does it say? What are we looking for? Hearing nothing. Any other comments?
Just hang on a second. I think.
Are you
Councillor
guys
Lamb's-
thinking?
Councillor
Director Douglas?
Lamb is contemplating, yes.
Okay, Madam Mayor, Director Douglas has his hand up.
Just the balance in the affordable housing reserve is 147,465.
Okay, thank you.
And that all, yeah.
Yep.
And with regards to trying to save $80,000, I'm not quite sure where we would get that from.
Mhm.
We are, there's not a lot of room in this budget, for sure.
Councillor Lamb's lips are moving, but I don't hear anything. Do you have anything else to say, Tom? Okay, Councillor Toth has his hand up.
Just from a process perspective, if it would be of benefit, we do have a council meeting later tonight.
Yeah,
So anything we put forward here still has to go through a council meeting to get adopted. Whereas any motions that are put forward at a council meeting can be actioned a little faster.
Mhm.
So it may be advantageous to take the couple hours to write a motion and come up with something rather than trying to come up with something on the fly here right now.
Director Douglas?
Staff could put together some additional information if that's what council would, but by the meeting.
Okay. Mayor Seegers, are you okay?
I'm good. I'm good. If we had some number, I think that's what Councillor Lamb is looking for now is what kind of number does that get us? Right, so that would help determine the direction I think you want to go. So if we're looking at $2 per 100,000, perhaps if staff could come with that number tonight to see what that would be, then that would give Councillor Lamb some direction.
Okay. Any other comments or questions with regards to the presentation? Director Douglas?
So there's that $2 per 500,000 based on residential.
Per 100,000.
Sure. $2 for 100,000
Yes.
based on residential. Because that means it's double that for commercial, right? So I need, the base would be residential.
Yeah. It's $2 per 100,000. And the businesses and the industrial users for property will benefit by having, maybe we'll have workforce housing, so we'll have some people that can stay here and work. So it'd be a benefit to them. So I'm good to go with that. If it was, whatever those rates would be, if it was 3, whatever they are, yeah.
Mayor Seegers?
So just a clarification, this is just for my clarification. If we look at the tax multiple or tax rate multiple, then what you're saying is if we do $2 for residential, then utilities would be 15.6 times that.
Well, utilities would be exempt because we're already charging on the max.
Okay. Light
Right.
industrial would be 3.6 times.
Yeah.
Business 2.35. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep,
Thank you.
I'm good with that. Yeah, I like that.
Okay, so we've wrapped that topic up. Any further questions or comments, Mayor Seegers?
Are there any recommendations that Director Douglas is looking for from us?
I believe
Okay.
he's looking for a recommendation of endorsement. Am I correct there, Director Douglas?
They proceed to bylaws.
Sorry, I can't hear you.
Sorry, yes, to proceed to bylaws.
Okay. Mayor
So-
Seegers.
Yes, so can we do that, given we don't know about this other piece? How would you like it worded at this point then?
Okay, we actually, if we do that piece tonight, then we could do that at the meeting tonight. Potentially, I don't know if there's some kind of a cross. We could, I'm just kind of thinking on as I go here, but
Yeah.
you could give direction to proceed subject to the further conversation tonight.
Okay,
Would you
I'll make
like
that recommendation.
seconded by
proceed-
council?
yeah. So it'd be something like proceed to bylaw, pending further information this evening about an affordable housing contribution on taxes.
CAO Yates has something to say.
If I might, your worship, I don't know that you need to put a codicil to this. You might not come up with anything tonight.
Okay.
So we'd just like to keep moving here if we could. You
Then,
can always
okay,
adjust
so-
if you come up with something.
okay. Okay, I guess I'd make a motion to just move to bylaw.
Seconded by Councillor McLean. All in favor?
And just to follow up, we would still be looking for that information tonight. Thank you.
Yeah.
May I have a motion to adjourn this meeting? And a seconder.